if a man love the world, the love of God is not in the man. Simple. How? Because if I love God by mind, body, and soul, and I love my neighbor to love myself, and everybody came from Adam and Eve, right? So everybody's my neighbor then, right? Okay. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want my neighbor to be a slave. I don't use narcotics. I don't want I would say my neighbors don't want to use narcotics. I don't want my children to become part of the LGBT community. I don't want my neighbors' children to be part of the LGBT community. I'm straight. I want my children to be straight. I want my neighbors to be straight. I want my neighbors' children to be straight. The government passing laws and so forth that saying is legalizing pedophilia. I think that's horrible. I would encourage my neighbor to sit back and say that's horrible. Police brutality affects people around the globe. I don't want to be a victim of police brutality. I don't want my neighbor part of police brutality. I protest and advocate for my neighbors as a victim of police brutality, so police brutality can stop. Education is important. I want to get educated. I want to educate my neighbors as well. Because the fact that knowledge is power. The more education we have, the further we grow as a people. So I'm saying that's what it means to love God with thy mind, body, and soul. Love thy neighbor, that love thyself. Because if I love God with my mind, body, and soul, then everything that I pray for, then I would have to sit back and so for those same prayers I pray for. I have to pray the same prayer for my neighbors. In other words, if I ask God for forgiveness, I have to ask God to forgive my neighbor. If I ask God for strength, I have to ask God to strengthen my neighbor. If I ask God for freedom, I have to ask God to free my neighbor. If I ask God for love, I have to ask God to love my neighbor. If I ask God for hope, I have to ask God to give hope to my neighbor. If I ask for health, I would ask God to make sure my neighbor's healthy. If I ask God for wealth, I have to ask God to help my neighbor with their finances. If I ask God for a more understanding of spirituality, I have to ask God to help my neighbor understand spirituality. That's not loving the world. That's loving God with thy mind, body, and soul. Loving thy neighbor as I love thyself. Freeing thyself and thy neighbor from the oppression of the world. That's spirituality and that's revolution. People don't understand the Bible, what it says sometimes. All right.